Store and promote sustainable use of land, also known as Life on Land. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Mark Anthony. I'm one of the co-founders of EverSmart City. And if this is your first time watching one of our videos or hearing about EverSmart City, please like us on LinkedIn, follow us on LinkedIn, Instagram, all of our social medias. You can find us everywhere at EverSmart. And as well as like and subscribe. Hit the like button, subscribe to our channel so you can see our future videos. We have a bunch of videos dropping out of all the SDG goals and how we're in alignment with them. So you can go check out our past ones up until now, and then you can get notification on the future ones and all the future videos that we begin to roll out. So today, without further ado, we're going to be talking about SDG 15, Life on Land, and how EverSmart's plan uh, to really come into alignment with this goal, with our mission. Now, uh, the reason why we're pretty much cognizant of this goal is because if we're going to be building smart cities, the first thing I know a lot of people are going to be thinking of is you guys are going to come in with big bulldozers and tractors and tear apart the land. But one of our main missions of EverSmart City is uh, bringing the human way of life a little bit back to nature, bringing it back to our natural way of living off the land, living with the land. And we kind of take a Native American indigenous tribe approach, like the Hopi or the Navajo or any of the other Native American tribes, when it comes to living with the land, being in spirit with the land, and being one and two. Because right now across the globe, we're seeing a lot of problems in terms of deforestation, people cutting down the Amazon um, for plants. I mean, for paper and materials. Um, uh, Deforestation, desertization, meaning areas that are once were not maybe not forests, but maybe even prairie, but now becoming desert. Now deserts are getting bigger essentially. And our first project here in Phoenix, Arizona, we are in a desert and we're in an area that has suffered this desertification over the past 50 or so years due to a power plant called the Palo Verde Power Plant here in Arizona, which is in about 40 to 50 miles west of Phoenix. And in Arizona, a lot of people are familiar with the Hoover Dam that splits Arizona and Nevada, which is used for hydroelectricity, which is a renewable resource. But what that dam does at the Hoover River is it dams up the Colorado River and creates Lake Mead. We also have another dam here called the Roosevelt Dam, which is at Roosevelt Lake, done by uh, Teddy or Theodore Roosevelt. I'm not sure, but the Roosevelt Lake, which we have two dams, hydroelectricity dams here in the city that produce electricity. But another thing they do is they also dam the rivers up and make them into little lakes. And these rivers had ran all the way through the state of Arizona prior to the Colorado River and the Salt River, and they branched off. You know, they had the Aquafina River, the Rio Salado River, and then even further down into the state of Arizona, further down the Salt River, they dammed it again at Tempe Town Lake to make this right by Arizona State University, this really nice metropolitan area that had a lake. It has a lake. You can do little paddle boats. You can do all kinds of stuff. It's a really, really nice view where they dammed up the river and blocked it off and turned this one section into a lake. And then the rest of the river has just a trickling creek all the way down. And now from this stretch on is about a 58-mile stretch, and they call it the Rio Salado, this part of the Salt River. All right, and it leads into the Aquafina and the Gila River. But it's all essentially now dried up. You will drive through South Phoenix and you'll go over bridges, right? That are maybe 500-foot bridges that go over a huge dried up river, and underneath it, certain times of the year, during what we call monsoon season, we'll get haboobs or monsoons, which are like thunderstorms overnight, right? They're like dust storms or sandstorms, and what they do is they drop a whole bunch of water and it ends up flash flooding the whole city, and it overflows the Tempe Town Lake, and it overflows the dam, and the city gets flooded in certain parts, flash floods, and it becomes very, very dangerous even in this desert because we have this very flat land, and then when it overfloods, it washes, and they call these dried up riverbeds washes because it ends up washing out. And we've seen this problem in Arizona for a long time, and even at Lake Mead or the Hoover Dam, the water level there has dropped somewhere above 1,200 feet, to the point where we're at a level of national emergency um, protocol. So we're living in a place right now where we're doing this first community, this first project in a community that already has suffered some of the problems that we're facing in SDG 15 and desertification, where we're losing water, and we're losing some of our wildlife in terms of our green life. And that's something that we're seeing right here at home. And we don't have to travel to the Amazon to see this stuff. It's right here in our backyard. And so some of the things that we're going to do to help really combat this and kind of reverse things that are going on, there's a project called Rio Reimagine, which is the Rio Salado River I'm talking about, where they dammed it up at one end at Tempe Town Lake. They're in a project now called Rio Reimagine, where they're going to revitalize this river through 8 to 15 different mile marker points down this 58-mile stretch of river to really revitalize the whole project. And we're going to be working along with that project as well, in many different ways, because about last 100 years we lost an equal amount of tropical forest globally than we did in the last 2,000 years in the temperate forest. So we've done 2,000 years of damage to our forests and wildlife in the last 100 years, right? So we've lost over 100 million hectaacres uh, of forest in the past 20 years. So what we're really going to try to do is revitalize. And then another thing we're going to try to do is when we go into communities, I say try because this is a working effort. This is something that we're going to have to partner with people. We're going to have to create game plans for our future developments to do this in a logical, reasonable, and safe way. So that's why I say we're trying, because this is a project that we're going to have to work on, and we're going to need your guys' help. So when it comes to getting in on conversations like this, finding ways that you can work with EverSmart City, collab with us, teach us stuff, share us stuff, work with us, always just join our Discord. Drop the link right there below. But in our communities, the first thing that we're going to be doing is partnering with a bunch of our local landscape architects who are Smartscape certified, who build living earth systems that build soil essentially by overpopulating the soil with worms and other indigenous insects to help revitalize it in its natural habitat. The first thing that we want to do, especially with the Smartscape certified, we're working with a lot of local landscape architects who have a long degree of certifications and experience to make sure that every development that we do, especially here in Phoenix, this first one, I'm going to kind of go over this first one, is that we aren't going to just come in with bulldozers and tractors and rip up the land and create this huge footprint. The first thing that we want to do is really almost undisturb the natural habitat that we're revitalizing, and um, rehabilitate it. We're going to bring in plants that are natural to the ecosystem, natural to the habitat, to rebirth, to revitalize the area. To essentially now we're living in these concrete jungles, right? Some of my favorite communities around town are the ones that are full and plush with trees and greenery, which is hard to find in this desert. So we're going to be doing that, bringing in and planting trees that are natural to this area, bringing in plants that are natural to this area that will attract insects, bugs, bees that are natural to this area to revitalize the vegetation, the life on land, the greenery, and the water, and as well as we're going to be doing a lot of gray water, rainwater, and storm water recycling and recapturing. So first off, with all of our gray water, we're going to be, from all the houses, all the homes, we're going to be using the gray water to provide extra water for our grow house, our farmers market. And our farmers market and our garden is going to be one of our biggest things that we do. We're going to be pretty much growing all of our food primarily indoor to really just not affect the outside ecosystem. We're going to be growing other plants that may not be indigenous, like bananas, cucumbers, all different types of fruits and plants that people can eat that may not be indigenous or local to, let's say, Arizona, but they're still needed in our diet. So we're going to grow a bunch of things indoors. And then when it comes to outdoors, we're going to be planting trees, flowers, plants that are local to the natural habitat that we're in that can help revitalize it. All the homes are going to have gray water systems where the water is recycled and reused, and it's going to water all these plants. And if you watch some of our previous videos or haven't, the biggest part of our community is being based on a blockchain. And we're going to be implementing blockchain in our gardens and our grow houses as a supply chain management tool to collect data on the food that we're growing, how much water is used, how much water that was recycled from the gray water is used, how much light these plants are getting, when we feed nutrients, what's the temperature, what's the CO2 levels if we're growing in hydroponic, because we're working with a few hydroponic experts or companies or people who have over 20, 30 years experience in hydroponics growing food hydroponically, whether with electricity assistance, meaning like water pumps, water filters, air, or just all natural in ponds or fisheries in terms of like aquaponics version of hydroponics. We're going to be doing all these different type of systems and collecting as much data to be able to educate people and raise people's awareness. We're going to be using essentially the blockchain for one of its key uses of the public blocks explorer as a supply chain management tool or an education tool or an awareness tool, so people can gain awareness and see their food, right? See what they'll be using. Now, I mentioned that we have a lot of flash floods here and monsoons. So we're going to be doing, creating a lot and building a lot of rainwater reclamation or rainwater capturing and stormwater capturing for both the flash floods and the monsoon season to capture all that rain, because there's a statistic. I'm going to, every 1,000 square feet of land space and 1 inch of water in that 1,000 square feet can hold or be about 600 gallons of water. So I mentioned flash floods and monsoons, and during our seasons, that happens nearly every day. So we're going to be trying to capture as much as that water as possible instead of it just soaking in the dirt. And, you know, we're going to try to capture it, reuse it, filter it, clean it, but use that to plant, to water all of our plants inside of our garden and inside of our community where our outdoor plants, and really just bring back green into Arizona, especially just in this first project. Every community that we're going to go in, we're going to be, focused on this SDG goal, whether it's preserving the mountains and wildlife, because in 2015 there was 23,000 species of both animals and plants that were facing extinction due to urban development. That's the first thing that we want to be cognizant of is our footprint. Every time that we go into a habitat, that we want to leave not just the smallest footprint, but we want to leave a footprint that flourishes around us, not does the opposite, right? We want to be able to revitalize and enhance our local environment, not just the community, the people. The whole point of EverSmart is to be stewards of the land and of the people. Our whole goal is to be stewards of this land, to protect and to preserve this land for the people of the future who are yet to become, who are yet to be here. So our job here today is to protect this land, to preserve this land, to nurture and care for it, and be stewards of this land so we can provide this land for future generations yet to come. It's like planting a tree or planting a seed of a tree that you'll never be able to sit under the shade. So, guys, if you want to get into more conversations like this, check out our videos. Like I said, we're going to be all about raising awareness, education. We're going to be holding classes. We're going to have our public blockchain. Get in on our Discord conversation. We have a bunch of other videos that we're going to be dropping. This is just like kind of the tip of the iceberg of the conversation, just to get it rolling. We can really get in deep with this, but make sure to follow, to jump in on Discord with us. Join the conversation. Like I said, it's just tip of the iceberg. We're going to be getting a lot deeper. We're going to be dropping out a lot more videos. These are all just introductionary videos at this point in time until we release more, just to raise awareness, right? That's what we're all about. So, guys, Like, subscribe, join the Discord, follow us on all of our social medias, and get in on the conversation with us. Collaborate with us, partner with us, share resources. We love to find ways to enrich the world. Right? We all believe that this is a collaborative, um, collective, pretty much game plan. Our game plan is to be collaborative. We don't want to do all this by ourselves. We want to work and partner with as many people as possible. So if that's you, join our Discord, jump into the conversation, introduce yourselves, and let's get to work.